Hello all. Thank you very much for coming, all 10 of you or so. What I really wanted to say is to talk about the current developer experience in crypto, and maybe to acknowledge that we're currently kind of working with a Frankstein tech stack. And in terms of building dApps, we need to not only be really nice to our developers, but also try and support them as much as possible in how we're going to move towards a more decentralized future. So we have to acknowledge that today, developers are using a Frankenstein tech stack. And I'm going to tell you a bit about what that means and what the current process for dApp developers actually looks like in reality, as opposed to kind of the idealized view that we pick up from tutorials and these more simple examples. So what is the pain today is that usually you have a dApp that you've thought of, you have RPC, which gives you access to the node, and you have a network like Ethereum. So right now, everything seems very simple, and this is usually where most people start. But often, you're not sitting in isolation. Maybe you need an Oracle. So now you need an Oracle provider. You need to bring in an external price, a reference that you can use for something like liquidation or for trading against. This is, again, it's not too bad now. We've got a few components, but it's pretty reasonable still. But now you need some history and some context. Perhaps RPC, it's not that great at historical data. It's a little bit slow. Often it's rate limited for users that are using free RPC. So you have usually a choice, but often people will start to build a subgraph, which will be a decentralized way of indexing data. So they go along for some time, they gain some users, they gain some traction, everything seems great. Maybe this is the testnet stage for them. But now it's like, okay, so we've launched, things are going well, we need to build KPIs, we need to build dashboards, so now you're going to need to go to a dashboard provider like Dune or Flipside. And basically the scale of the problem is starting to get quite large. Now your dev team or your operations team is looking at supporting 4 different protocols, applications, in some cases, especially for things like oracles and subgraphs, commercial deals, which are not permissionless, so that needs to go through your company. As well as RPC provision is, again, there are some amazing decentralized projects coming, which is great, but we're really starting to get into a world which is many, many suppliers. What happens as you grow, especially if you're depending on things like the graph, is that you're going to slow down and you're going to start to have really bad user experience. So we've seen this evidenced by Uniswap actually removing the graph from their entire stack because they weren't able to get the user experience they required. So now they built their own centralized custom indexer. And this is unfortunately a path that a lot of projects end up following because they effectively care about their users enough that they need to build a better user experience. But they have to build in a centralized manner because there isn't really an alternative today. So this then gets compounded when we go to multi-chain, where we have your dApp trying to connect to different chains. I didn't have enough space for the boxes, but obviously, we're looking at dApps connecting to different chains via all of these different protocols. And the expense can get quite large. I mean, some of these, there's a big incentive to move to like lower fee chains, like L2s, from things like Ethereum. But that comes with a significant overhead. And this is like a big thing to manage. And if you start talking about DAOs doing this, for example, it becomes even more prevalent and problematic. So I'm kind of obviously leading somewhere in here. So what we do at Superchain is we provide accurate and verified and transparent data. And the cool thing about that is that once you have verified and transparent data, you're able to build some of these key crypto primitives in a way that's fully decentralized. And not only that, but also really, really fast. So with verifiable data and a light client, we can kind of squeeze all of these different things. So RPC for accessing, say, a quote of a price, a custom indexer for viewing a larger amount of historical data, for example, subgraphs for some summary information, dashboards for KPIs and key information for your users and tokenomics or usage, daily active users, and oracles as well, which you need for these verifiable prices from external sources. With Superchain, you're able to build your dApp on top of our light client, and that light client provides verifiable data to your users. So they don't need to run a full node. They don't need to use things like RPC. They can rely on that data and know that it came from the chain. It has full provenance. And so we think this is the future of how people are going to build dApps and have way better user experience. Not only that, we also help developers a lot because we're able to scan the whole chain in a matter of seconds. So you're able to basically have user experiences that instead of loading in 20 to 30 seconds, load in less than 2 seconds. And that's really our aim for the industry, is to bring that user experience down to a reasonable perspective. Now, this was a lightning talk, so I have actually tried to keep it super short. But yeah, so please do ask some questions, and if you want to go on Twitter, you can hear more about Superchain and more about what I think about the crypto world. So thank you very much.